SPUFalcons.com. Here with men's soccer head coach Mark Collings. Coach, started practice this week. How things gone so far?
It's been great. It's always fun to get on the field and have everybody back and finally get our recruits here and get them as a part of our program. And so it's been really fun. Our off season's so long, and so to get back on the field is, this is the best time of the year.
1/3 of your roster is new players with the 9 newcomers. How have they integrated into the team so far?
I think pretty well. I think our returners have done a really good job of helping, them feel more comfortable. And, so many of them have been committed to us for a while. So they've been in and around our team at different times. And, with quite a few Northwest guys. So they already are familiar with some of the guys in our program. Overall, I think it's been a little bit of an adjustment. 2-a-days are tough on anybody, new player or returner, and but I think they've handled it pretty well.
Well, you and your peers in the GNAC coaches fraternity released the annual poll today, and Falcons were picked 5th. Your thoughts about that?
I think my thoughts are probably the same as if we were picked 2nd or 1st. It's a new year, and I think to be fair, we finished 5th last year. So I don't put too much stock into it either way. College soccer is a funny thing, and we're relying, on 18 to 22-year-old young men for the most part, and things change, injuries happen. People get new players, transfers, all that stuff, and so it's so hard to know exactly what to expect from the guys. But I'm really excited about the group we have, and we'll see what happens.
Last year's team had a 5-game playoff streak snapped. How is the team approaching that coming into this year?
Yeah, I think it's the same we approach every year. We're just getting ready for our first game against Chico, and that's all we can control. If we're going to get caught up in the playoffs and worrying about where we are picked to finish in the conference, I think we're going to waste a lot of energy. All we can control is how we perform on a game day, and that's where our emphasis is this preseason. That's where our emphasis was in the off season, is correcting some mistakes, getting some younger guys more experience, and hopefully all that will pay off, and we'll put on a good performance when we play Chico.
Well, I mentioned 9 newcomers, makes it sound like you have such a young team, but in fact you have 7 starters returning, so a great core to work with there. How will that experience help this team this year?
Yeah, last year was interesting. I mean, because we didn't think we would play a lot of young guys, and then, different things happened, and, early on, a lot of the young guys were expected to play. So, yeah, in some ways we have a more experienced group than maybe we were expecting to have this year, which is great. And, we'll see what happens. I think what last year taught us is, we need to make sure we're preparing 1 through 27 so that regardless of, who steps on the field, they're ready to go. And I think all of our guys have really bought into that, and we'll see. I mean, 7 returning guys, that are quote-unquote starters is great, but at the same time, every year is different, and how those guys mesh together with the, 4 other starters we lost, it changes. The roles change, and responsibilities change, and so that's what we're working on, is trying to clearly define what each guy's role will be within the system.
Is there any returning player or newcomer who's really stood out to you as someone that may surprise Falcon fans this year?
Yeah, I think with that, they all surprise us a little bit, good and bad sometimes. And, in this case, I think, Maury looks very good. He's healthy, and that's going to be a big help for us. The game's about scoring goals, and I think with him and Gabe up top, and then a couple other guys as well, but those 2 in particular, I think that's gonna, it's gonna force other teams to have to be aware of them, and that will take some pressure off of other guys. And I think Kari in goal has been quite sharp. He's been waiting for his opportunity to have the starting spot, and he's clearly earned that, and he looks great. So those 3, and all the new guys have had their moments. We have a really talented group, and at different moments in training, each of them has showcased their ability and why they're Falcons.
Your final game last year, you played conference champion Simon Fraser and ended up losing in a hard-fought game. Jess Caetano single-handedly brought you back into that game. What do you see him doing this year?
Hopefully more of that. Jess is, I didn't mention him earlier, but, he unfortunately had his spring cut a little short, and, he's a worker. He's intelligent. His teammates respect him, and hopefully he can be a guy that we can build around a little bit, and someone that we can put in pen in the lineup. And as we were talking about solidifying roles, hopefully he can solidify a couple roles for us. And most importantly, leadership. It's something we work on with our guys, and it's something that this senior class in particular has really worked on together and as individuals. And I think Jess is a big part of that.
Your team had won 2 straight GNAC titles last year, unseeded by Simon Fraser. They were picked number 1 in the poll again this year. Do you think that's an accurate thing going into the year?
Absolutely. I think you're the champion until someone else knocks you off. And, I think the last several years between us and Simon Fraser, I think it's been a battle. Last year, the exception for us. And so, that's our goal. Our goal is to get back and win the GNAC, especially with the change at Division II and there being an automatic qualifier for our conference champion. It's one way to solidify yourself in the tournament and not rely on any other statistical categories or how any other team does. You control your own destiny, which is kind of nice.
You've always played an ambitious non-conference schedule. You may have taken that to a whole new level this year. You start out August 31st with Chico State, then you host Sonoma, then you go for 2 games in Colorado, starting the Metro State. Real ambitious schedule. How do you plan to attack that?
Chico State. We'll start there and see what happens. They spent a bit of time in Spain, and we got the benefit of that a couple years ago, and I saw how much that can really help you early in the season, just with how prepared your team is. So we have a big task in front of us to open the season. Like you said, with so many new players, we're integrating into a roster and, playing an opponent that should be clicking on all cylinders. So we'll start there, and then we'll worry about the ones after that.
Lastly, new wrinkle personally for you this year. The previous 4 years, you had the opportunity to coach your son Jeffrey, who is graduated now. Just update on what he's up to now.
He's good. He's living at home again, which is great. I know my wife is really loving having everybody back home, and he's graduated and studying for his MCAT, and hopefully off to medical school, and hopefully getting a job here soon as well. That'd be kind of nice. It's great to have him home and still have him around.
Great. Coach, thanks so much for your time and good luck this season.
Thank you.